Welcome to another edition of George Washington Speaks. I'm Tom Saffold. Brothers and sisters often have a strong bond, and Washington's older half-brother, Lawrence, supported him in many ways. Despite being a lot older than George, Lawrence spent a lot of time with him during George's teen years. In this edition, Washington portrayed by Vern Frykholm, you'll learn about the important influence of Lawrence and his wife Anne.
When I was 11, just 3 months after the death of our father, my brother Lawrence married Colonel William Fairfax's eldest daughter, Anne. They settled at the Little Hunting Creek plantation, which Lawrence renamed Mount Vernon. Lawrence, who was 14 years older than me, would occasionally take me hunting and fishing with him, and he would tell me stories about his military adventures in the West Indies and South America, where he served between 1740 and 1742. These were exciting stories for me and were far different from my calm young life in Tidewater, Virginia. My admiration for him grew, and his stories influenced my desire to become a military man. At age 14, Lawrence would often take me to the Fairfax plantation at Belvoir, where he introduced me to his father-in-law, Colonel William Fairfax, and his family. The Fairfax family was a very wealthy and influential family in Virginia. They were even descended from a well-known family that lived in Yorkshire, England, and had gotten a Scottish title and honor from King Charles I for loyal service to him as king 100 years before I was born. They lived in a splendid brick mansion called Belvoir. It was on the Potomac River 4 miles downstream from Mount Vernon. In my youth, I was in awe of both the large plantation and of the Fairfax family. The home was so grand and beautiful, and the family was so refined. They had fine clothing, carved furniture, artwork, good manners, and musical talents, and they had the ability to speak French and many other languages. I soon realized that I was not only poor in money or in clothing, in education, but I was also poor in all of the things that they had. As a result, I was eager to have Lawrence coach me in the proper manners and good behavior before men of higher or even equal social rank. I also asked his wife, Anne, to teach me how to properly act when young men talk to the young women of society. But I don't believe I ever got it totally right. The time I spent at Belvoir helped me to develop lifelong friendships with several members of the Fairfax family, and they helped me to find jobs as a young surveyor, soldier, and politician. Even to this day, I fondly remember the time with the Fairfax family at Belvoir as the happiest moments of my life. Lawrence's father-in-law, Colonel Fairfax, had a cousin, Lord Thomas Fairfax, who was the 6th Baron of Cameron. He inherited control of 5 million acres of land between Virginia's Potomac and Rappahannock rivers. Now, to give you an idea of exactly how large that was, you could fit the 3 colonies of Rhode Island, Delaware, and Connecticut within its borders. Lord Fairfax lived in England and asked Colonel Fairfax to handle this huge parcel of land for him. It needed to be surveyed, and the smaller parcel needed to be rented out or sold to frontiersmen and farmers that were moving into the colony of Virginia. It was during this same year that Lawrence married Colonel Fairfax's eldest daughter, Anne. As a more mature young man of 15, I became a frequent fox hunting companion of Colonel Fairfax. My mother was a fine horsewoman, and she taught me how to ride well. Also at the time, both Lawrence and Colonel Fairfax began to advise me as to what steps I could take to advance my future. In that way, I became part of the extended Fairfax family. Through them, I found opportunities to take part in the entertainments and the recreations that the wealthy classes enjoyed and valued. Even when I commanded the Virginia militia several years later along the frontier facing the hostile Indian nations during the French and Indian War, I took fencing lessons from Jacob von Braun at my headquarters in Winchester, Virginia. I also learned to play popular card games, paid for dancing lessons, and attended the theater to see plays in both Fredericksburg and in Williamsburg. Due to their guidance and social connections with family and friends, job opportunities became available to me that would not have otherwise been available. If I had tried to make a name for myself all on my own, I would most likely have never succeeded, and I would probably have died without even being mentioned in American history at all. At age 15, those family connections got me an officer's position of ensign in the British Navy. And years later, at age 22, their influence also helped me become a major in the Virginia militia. Again, my lack of social background and status, due to the death of my father, my rise at such a young age was truly remarkable. As a result, I was greatly aware of the importance of having such important supporters who talked to others of wealth and importance on my behalf. I told my younger brother Jack when I was 23, I should be glad to hear you live in peace and good fellowship with the family at Belvoir, as it is in their power to be very helpful upon many occasions to us as young beginners. Further admitting that to the family I am under many obligations. I continued to learn about colonial culture and the workings of government from my numerous visits to the Fairfax estate. I listened closely to both Colonel Fairfax and Lawrence discuss many subjects such as history and current political and business events. This informal training was probably more important to me than any school education that I may have received in England. Since it was critical for a young man to be able to talk well with the wealthy and powerful members of colonial society in order to further their military and political careers. Although, many years later, I was talked down to by other well-educated founding fathers because of my lack of formal education. I felt that this informal training did as much to advance my career as any school education would have done.
I hope you can see the important role George's brother played in his life. One particular social custom of the day provided opportunities for George Washington to develop his character. Do you enjoy or look forward to attending dances? He certainly did. In the next edition, George Washington will reveal some lessons he learned about attending dances.